Today we're going to be studying data. Please follow along as I read. Measures of center, mean, median, and mode, and measures of spread, such as the range and interquartile range, are called summary statistics because they help to summarize the information in a distribution. So we're going to work on summarizing the data that we see. Our focus will be on the three measures of center, which are also known as the three measures of central tendency: mean, median, and mode. The mean is the average. The median is the middle value in the data set, and the mode is the data value that you see most often in the data set. To help us to remember the median and the mode, I'm going to underline M and D in median, and M and D in middle. I'm also going to circle the M and O in mode and the M and O in most often to try to help you remember that the median represents the middle value. Mode means the value you see most often. Our first set of data is about the Summer Olympics. The table shows the number of medals won by the US. Which measure of central tendency best represents the data? Then find the measure of central tendency. We're going to start by just examining this table and trying to understand it. In this row, the title is Number of Medals. In this row, the title is Summer Olympic Games. So my first question for you is, how many medals in total did the US win in Beijing in 2008? Look at the table. I hope that you said 112 medals. When it says 112 medals, it means the total gold, silver, and bronze, that total altogether. All right, let's look at the table again. How many medals were won in Sydney in 2000? I hope that you said 93 medals were won by the US in 2000. Now we need to think about what type of central tendency would be best to use. Is it the mean, the median, or the mode? First, when you look at a set of data, it's not really like there's a wrong answer. You could make an argument for using different measures of central tendency, but let me work through some reasoning to explain the measure of central tendency that we're going to use for this data set. First, I noticed that when I read the numbers 93, 101, 112, 104, 121, there was not a copy of any of the numbers. So I wouldn't use the mode. The mode is the value you see most often. There's not one value that's used more than the others. Second, when I think about using the mean or the median, usually I would use the mean, except for those situations where there's an outlier. And in this data set, I don't see an outlier. So I would most likely, to summarize the center of this data, use mean. So that's what we're going to do in this example. We're going to find the mean, the average. The formula for finding the mean is sum divided by number of values. So the first thing we'll do is we'll add the values. 93 plus 101 plus 112 plus 104 plus that 121, and we get a total of 531. Next, we need to, in the denominator, put the number of data values. So we're going to count those, and then I'll grab this yellow pen and we'll record it in the denominator. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these data values. So we'll take that sum and divide by 5, and we get a mean of 106.2. What this means is that, on average, at the Summer Olympic Games, the US wins about 106 medals in all. We're going to look at two more examples to try to help you be prepared for your practice on your own, and we're going to be going through the steps. We'll focus on the steps of how to find the mean. So first, number one, you add up the values. So I'm going to grab a pen again, and I'm going to add 8 and 5 and 1. I'm going to write down 3 numbers at a time. Then I'm going to add on the 7 and the 1 and the 1. And then after that, I'll add the 9 and the 7 and the 6. And this will give me a total of 45 when I add them together. Next, step 2, I need to count the number of values. So I'll start counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there were 9 values. That's why this said odd set of values, because there were 9 data values in this set, and 9 is an odd number. Step 3, you take that sum and you divide it by the 9, the number of values, and we get a mean of 5. And we have one more example to look at, so try to memorize these steps. Step 1, you add up the values. So we're going to add the 3 and the 7 and the 7. Just going to write 3 at a time, because if I write more than that, I usually make a mistake. 3 plus 7, and then I'm going to add on the 8 and the 2 and the 9. And that gives me a total of 36. Then I need to count the number of values. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. And then step 3 says divide the sum by the number of values. So I take 36 divided by 6, and I get the mean to be 6. So the center of this data, we could say, is 6.